The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone and welcome to our new live webcast, Feeling Right at Home, Uniform Processes for Online and Offline Licenses. Join us each month for new powerful messages, technical tips, and success stories that will leave you inspired and ready to get your protection, licensing, and security techniques another step closer to perfection. At WIBU-SYSTEMS, we empower software publishers and intelligent device manufacturers with cutting-edge technologies, new business models, and tailor-made consulting training. Let us help you upgrade, optimize, and automate your entire license lifecycle management so you can focus on monetizing your business at a higher level. My name is Daniela Previtali, Global Marketing Director of WIBU-SYSTEMS, and I'm delighted to have you here with us today. We are joined by Rüdiger Kügler, VP Sales and Security Expert, and David Payne, Product Manager, CodeMeter Cloud and CodeMeter License Central, both from the headquarters of WIBU-SYSTEMS. As the CodeMeter technology expands to welcome CodeMeter Cloud and reaps all the mobility benefits associated with making licenses available in the cloud, anytime and from any device, software developers should feel at home. All workflows for creating, delivering, changing, and managing licenses stay the same, whether you choose hard, soft, or cloud license containers. You can mix and match them in a heterogeneous architecture. All you need is to choose whether you want your licenses offline on a computer, mobile on a dongle, or online in the cloud. Some housekeeping we need to take care of before we start. For everyone who's joining us today, I want to remind you that we will be reserving some time at the end of the session for Q&A, and I'd like to invite you to submit any question you have in the live chat box. This session is being recorded, and a link to the replay will be posted directly to you in the next couple of days. And don't forget, stay with us throughout the live session for your chance to win an Amazon coupon worth €50. At the end of the webinar, a new tab in your browser with 3 simple quiz questions will show up. You can submit one choice for each multiple answer question. We will draw the winner from among those who replied correctly and notify them at the time of the replay announcement. Without further ado, I'll pass things over to Rüdiger. The floor is yours.
Yeah, hello also from my side. My name is Rüdiger Kügler, and together with my colleague, with Dave Payne, we will tell you in the next 50 to 60 minutes about CodeMeter Cloud, what is different and what is similar to our classic products, CodeMeter Dongle and CodeMeter Act licenses, CM Act licenses. So let's start with a short overview. And before we dive into an overview of CodeMeter Cloud, where I want to hand over to Dave, it's just a rough overview about our CodeMeter licensing systems. And with CodeMeter, you have the option to say, I want to store a license in a CodeMeter dongle. And here we have a license container in a secure hardware element. The secure hardware element includes a smart card chip from Infineon. And all the licenses are stored in this secure smart card chip. And the licenses are, of course, bound to the smart card chip. And so if you remove the dongle from one computer and plug it into another computer, you can use it mobile also at a different and the second computer. And so the dongle licenses are mobile. This is one of the big advantage. And the second big advantage, they are very secure because they are stored inside a smart card chip. The keys and the licenses will never lose leave the smart card chip, and so they are very on a secure way. But of course, also dongle has some disadvantage, and the disadvantage is the time until you get it to your customer, because you need to send it to a customer. So at least for the first time, later on, if the customer already has a dongle, then it's easy to activate the dongle also via remote activation via License Central. But for the first time, you need to ship it to the dongle, and so the user cannot instantly start using his licenses. The second option is CM Act license. A CM Act license has the option that the license is stored on a computer in an encrypted license file. And the file is encrypted with the fingerprint. So we are using the fingerprint of the computer, which consists of maybe MAC address, maybe the hard drive, maybe serial number from motherboard, from the BIOS, the CPU type, the chip, the TPM chip, and whatever we find in the computer. And then we bind the license to this endpoint, to this device. And we're taking this fingerprint as a cryptographic key. And so license file is really encrypted for this device and cannot be decrypted on any other device. By the way, if we have a license, such a soft license, in a virtual machine, like in Microsoft Azure, or in a virtual machine in VMware, then we find, of course, very good properties which are not changed when you move a machine, but which are changed when you copy, duplicate, or clone a machine. And so also in a virtual environment, CodeMeter Act license offer a high level of security. But of course, compared to the dongle, the security of a dongle is higher than the security of a CM Act license, but a CM Act license can be used instantly. And last but not least, the newest and youngest member of our CodeMeter family is a CodeMeter Cloud container. And here the license container resides in the cloud, in the WIBU cloud, so we are hosting the solution for you. And this container is bound to a user with some credentials, similar type like a username and password. And we deliver this as a strong username, strong password in a file. We call this a credential file, but Dave will tell you more about this later, and we will see this credential file, also how it works in the background in our demonstration. And the cloud container has the option. It is mobile like a dongle. It is quick, available like the CM Act license. But of course, also the cloud container has a disadvantage. It's only available when the user is online. And so the other two solutions are available for offline usage as well. And the cloud container is available if the user is online. And so all three have their advantages. And so you can mix between all three license container type or systems, licensing system types to find your optimal solution. At the end, on the top, we have a license server, which can be used in the local area network or also in a wide area network. And the license server can be used on top of one of the three different container types. So it could be a license server using a dongle or license server using a CM Act license. In this case, the license is bound to the server, and you can have, let's say, 10 floating licenses on 10 clients. And so the fingerprint of the clients is not important for the license. It's only the fingerprint of the server. And so you can exchange clients very, very easily. You can borrow a license to a local client for an offline usage, detached from the server. So a lot of functions are available. And interesting also that the license server is available with CodeMeter Cloud, which means that the license server and only this machine needs to be online, have a permanent connection to the WIBU cloud, and all the clients behind only need to have access to the license server and don't need to have access to the cloud. And so also in critical environments, it's possible to use a CodeMeter Cloud license with a license server as a proxy. So this was a rough overview about the different licensing systems. And now, Dave, maybe you can tell us more about CodeMeter Cloud in detail.
Okay, well, the first thing to note about the container, the CodeMeter container, is that it's in the cloud. It's not sitting on a dongle. It's not sitting on the PC. The container stores the license, and because the license itself is securely stored in the cloud, it means that you have access to it whenever you can access the cloud. The license itself can be, or the container can be bound to a specific user, and that means that that when a user logs in, they can access that credential file over a secure channel. It's available on any computer that the user uses. So as long as that computer has access to the internet, it can see the license. So it's not a case of having a single dongle that the user needs to use. They can access that license at any stage just over the internet. It needs CodeMeter to be able to run, of course, because CodeMeter provides the security in a local environment. And we envisage a couple of specific use cases that we see people using. The first one is standard on-premise software. So the user is able to download software that's been protected using WIBU technology, and they are then able to use their cloud license to access and use that software. But also, if the company needs to use private clouds, for example, Amazon AWS, Amazon Web Services, or Azure from Microsoft, they can also do that using a cloud license. And of course, if you use a cloud from something like Amazon, you won't be able to use a dongle because Amazon won't let you stick dongles in their servers, but you can use licenses in the cloud in a similar way and have massive amount of security that way. We have the same tools. So if you're used to using CM-ACK licenses or CM dongles, then you can use exactly the same tools in pretty much the same way from WIBU to get access to cloud licenses. In terms of the architecture, we have a simple picture here of the architecture. We have our cloud server, CM Cloud Server, which contains the license database and, of course, a lot of quite complicated technology to provide the cloud services. And that talks over HTTP, TCP/IP, down to the local computer. Now, the interesting thing here is, or one question you might ask is, why HTTP? And there are three main reasons for this. Firstly, because, of course, we're a security company, so you'd say, well, why not HTTPS? But all the information is encrypted. It's encrypted end to end, and so nobody in the middle can access any of that data. It's fully encrypted. If we used HTTPS, of course, we could do that, but there is an overhead of about 30% in terms of the CPU for encrypting and decrypting that information, and it's already heavily encrypted, so there's no need for HTTPS. And finally, of course, in certain environments, for example, if you're in China or maybe in Russia, there could be restrictions on using HTTPS. So using HTTP makes things an awful lot simpler, but at the same time gives you an awful lot of security. So those are the reasons, those are the thoughts behind it. What happens is the CodeMeter cloud itself sends down authentication, so a credential file, which gives you access to those licenses in the cloud. Back over to Rudiger.
Yeah, and let's take a look at a process, how the licenses are created and how the licenses are activated or transferred to our cloud server. And here we have, on one hand, our CodeMeter cloud server. On the other hand, we have CodeMeter License Central. So both are two separate products, and of course you can use the cloud server without using License Central, so it's a standard product, and you can also use this with CMBox PGM, our command line tool, or our HIP API to program licenses yourself. But we think with License Central together, it's easier to create, deliver, and manage licenses also in the cloud. And License Central can be used, of course, for dongle licenses, for CM-ACK licenses, for cloud licenses themselves. And so there are two different or two independent products, but in combination, they offer a lot of benefits for you as the software developer. On the left-hand side, we have an ERP system, could be SAP, or we have a CRM system like Salesforce, or we have another system, an e-commerce solution, or something else. And typically, this third-party system triggers the creation of a license. So we get an order that something says, yes, a license is created. Please create a license for this user, for this customer. And then License Central creates an activation code. We call this a ticket, and sends the ticket back to SAP, Salesforce, or the e-commerce solution. Usually, the ticket is then sent to the user. And the user installs the protected software, so your application, and typically your application has inside a small software activation wizard, which includes a lot of sample code from WIBU, and you just put your nice user interface around the code from WIBU-SYSTEMS. So at the end, it has your look and feel, but our technology inside. And then the protected software starts. And it finds out, okay, I want to check the local installation. There's no local license, and oh, there's a connection to the cloud, but there is no license in the cloud, so nothing is still there. And so the software activation wizard will say, oh, I have a ticket, and will contact the gateway, which is the interface for License Central, and say, here is my ticket. By the way, this is not a real ticket, but I think you guessed it already. And then the gateway will contact License Central, will contact CodeMeter Cloud. The gateway will create the new container if it is a first activation for the user. The gateway will then move the license from License Central to the cloud and will send the software activation information back. Here is the login for the cloud, so this credential file, and will send back the information. All the licenses are now activated. And then software activation wizard closes and says, okay, now the protected software tries to start. And now the protected software can access the cloud, and now the protected software runs on-premise on the local machine with a license in the CodeMeter cloud. Additionally or optionally, there's a license portal, which is an extension of our web depot, which can do the same, also transferring licenses from License Central to cloud. And there's a third one, which is a special one for cloud, which is an auto update trigger, which will connect to License Central and automatically move licenses from License Central to CodeMeter cloud if License Central has the information to which user belongs this license. So typically the first activation takes part with a ticket, and all the updates or changes of licenses could take part with the auto update trigger, so pushing licenses or moving licenses or change licenses from License Central directly to cloud, or even removing license. So if the customer doesn't pay, it's also possible to revoke, to withdraw a license, and then to remove the license immediately from the cloud. Yeah, and this is how it works. By the way, license portal and gateway work in a very similar way for dongles and ACT licenses too. And the auto update trigger, which is here in orange, and that's why it has a different color, is the only thing which is very special for CodeMeter cloud. Yeah, as already mentioned, so the tools for the activation are either software activation wizard and gateway, which means there's a local component, which is the software activation wizard, which is running integrated in your software. And there's a server component, which is the gateway, which could have some additional business logic inside. We support all type of CM containers, so it could be dongle, soft, or cloud container. The second one was a license portal. It's a portal to use and manage, or for the user to manage and transfer licenses. So let's think of a company who purchased a lot of licenses for different employees, and then the administrator can take a look in license portal which the employee has which licenses are still available and free, which licenses are in use, and so on. And this also supports all type of CodeMeter containers. And as mentioned, the special auto update trigger, which will periodically run in the background and transfers licenses from CodeMeter License Central to CodeMeter Cloud. Currently, we see two different main use cases. The first one is a new license. A new license will be created for a new customer, which means we create a new ticket, which means we create a new CodeMeter Cloud container. And as mentioned, typically there is a manual activation of the ticket because we don't know which customer gets the ticket, which cloud container to create. And so the typical step is to create a ticket, send it to a customer, and then the customer will create the cloud container automatically in the background and use the ticket for the first activation. The second use case is the change of a license. In the case of change of a license, we have an existing customer. In the implementation in License Central, we will add the license to the existing ticket so that if the user has the ticket, he can see all the licenses and all the license history. We bind the license to an existing CodeMeter container. In the case of the cloud, it's an existing cloud container, which means that the auto update could transfer it automatically. By the way, if you take a look here, it is CM container and not CM cloud container. So this works also for dongles and also for ACT licenses. And then there are the options. We can withdraw a license or remove a license, replace a license, which is very often used if you have, let's say, a license with a maintenance contract and the maintenance contract is renewed on a subscription license, and then the subscription license, which ends 2019, needs to be replaced with a subscription license for 2020. Or the user buys an additional feature, an additional license, maybe for additional module, additional feature, like you have a CAD software and you have a BIM server, and then the user wants to buy the BIM server too, and then the user can buy this included in your license package. And as mentioned, they are available as auto updates if they are bound to the same ticket and they are bound to the same existing CodeMeter container.
So as you can see, using CodeMeter Cloud, there's a lot of similarity between that and the CM dongles and the CM ACT licenses, but WIBU is all about flexibility, and there are two different ways of being able to use the cloud solution. The first one we'll look at the moment is without a user account. So if you don't have a user account, you don't want to bother with that, you don't need to register the user can simply use it via activating a ticket. So you send the user a ticket and they can activate that ticket, and the CM Cloud container is automatically created in the background. The user doesn't need to do anything special about that. There's no standard processes for that. There's no standard process to use that on a different computer. It is just a nice, easy way of not having an account and just using the license. And in this case, of course, because there's no user ID, there's no password, so there's no password reset or anything like that. You have the ticket, you activate the ticket, and you use it. And that's an easy way of doing this without a user account.
This easy way is a very good solution if you have a simple software to sell to a lot of customers, and there is no additional licenses, no modules, no subscription, and anything else. If we speak of software which comes in different modules with different features, with different network licenses, floating network licenses, the subscription and so on, or maintenance period, in this case, we recommend to use a portal with a user account for the activation. In this case, the user needs to register. In this case, the ticket gets assigned to the user account. So even later, when the user don't remember the ticket, he can log into his account and see the tickets. And the cloud container is also created automatically in the background. So this is same with and without an account. And there's an easy process for the usage at a different computer, because the user only needs to log in with his user account, and then he can download the same credentials, the same file on a different computer, and can use the licenses instantly at a different computer. And of course, in case of a ticket loss, or he forgets the ticket, he can easily recover this with the standard password recovery mechanisms. And the credentials are stored in the license portal, so they can be sent to the customer for a second time if the computer has crashed, or if he wants to go to a second and different computer. So Dave, let's take a look at activation with an account. How does it work?
Yeah, so suppose a user comes along, they have a new computer and they haven't yet activated their account, so they're sort of a clean user. So the first thing they would do is create their new account, and they can do that via a nice easy GUI that we provided, and they select, I want to create a new CM account, a CM Cloud account, and they get this sort of panel up. So when they create their account, there are a few mandatory fields that they are required to select. In this case, email and password. Of course, this can be flexible, but email is kind of a standard one, and it can identify a user uniquely, which is why we use it. And password, of course, to stop other people who know your user ID from being able to access your details. Then you can provide the ticket. Now, this is an optional field when you're creating an account, but it has a couple of advantages. The first one is an anti-spam feature, so it means that users can't just create accounts for other people. If you specify a ticket that they have to enter, then that ticket needs to also be known by anyone who's creating this account. And the other advantage of using the tickets is that it can automatically activate all the licenses in that ticket, which means that immediately you're good to go and you can access all the licenses that you have authority to access. And so in the background, what happens is that the gateway creates an account in the license portal. And once it's done that, it will then retrieve the CM Cloud container file from CM Cloud. As I said before, this is a credential file which gives you access, or gives you authority to access the cloud and get at those licenses. Once you've done that, you can store the credentials in a middle tier service if you want to. You don't have to do that. And then the gateway will deliver those credentials to the software activation wizard. That will automatically import the credentials. The ticket then gets activated into this container, and you're good to go. And all this is done in the background in a nice, seamless way. So now what we can do is have a look at actually how that works. So over to Rudiger to show you this working.
So when you listen to Dave, it looks like, oh, there's a process with a lot of different steps, and this looks like a very complex thing, but of course it doesn't. So let's take a look how it works and what your user sees. So what we have here, we have first CodeMeter License Central, because we need to create a license first. So now we are on your side, on the side of the ISV, and I'm logging into License Central. And of course, usually creating licenses will be done automatically from SAP, Salesforce, and so on. But let's do this here manually. And before we can do this, we first need to create a new container type, a container type for CodeMeter Cloud. And so in my system, I've defined there's a cloud license or cloud container, there's a dongle as a secure container, and SmartBind, which is a CMX, so the soft license container. So these are the three types that I use. By the way, the borrow client is used for offline borrowing on a machine in the network. But let's start with the cloud license, dongle, and the SmartBind. And typically, when you define a license or an item which will be used to create a license, so an item is a template, a kind of template to create a license. And when you create an item, then you can define this license can be activated to a dongle, in a SmartBind file, so act license, or in the cloud license. And I already checked, okay, yes, this is available for the cloud license too. And what I also did, I did it for the second product, and let's do it for a third product, which is not yet activated for cloud. So it's CM dongle, CM SmartBind, CodeMeter SmartBind, and then I add just CodeMeter Cloud here, and everything is fine. And so I have now three products available: my single user basic module, my chain font user single user, and my hex view module also as a single user license. So now we will create such a ticket. So I will go to create an order, okay and okay, and I can enter a customer number. Let's say it's the 6000 for now, and it's a new ticket, new customer, new ticket. I say okay and okay. So what we get is our ticket here, and typically this ticket would be sent back to SAP. SAP would create a delivery note or something like this and would send the ticket now to the customer. Cut. And now we go to the customer side, and on the customer side, your customer is starting your software, and your software, as mentioned, includes pieces of our software activation wizard. And due to the fact that there is no cloud license or no license on this computer, that's why I need to change or choose I want to create a new cloud account. Let's show it. And I don't have a cloud license on my computer. I have a dongle vendor encryption on my computer, but I have no cloud license or no cloud container. So I click on create new account. I need to enter my ticket. I can define a username. Let's say Rudi. I hope it's not already used. rk at v oops at where is the end? Okay, thanks. So my computer is usually set to German. That's why I didn't find, but I have Dave here. So thank you very much for helping me to find the ad. You need to type it a second time again. Shift 2. Okay, I guess I will remember it for the rest of my life. So, and I'm using a password. I will use a password without the at, and I hope I will fulfill all the password rules. And now I click on create cloud account. So and now it will create an account in our license portal. License portal, so the gateway of the license portal will now go to the cloud and get a credential file, will import a credential file, then the cloud container is available on the local machine. Then we will take the fingerprint of the cloud container, send it to License Central. License Central will create the update file. License Central will import the update file. We will create a receipt, we will send the receipt, and then the license is there. Okay, but what we have seen our software activation wizard already terminates, and now the software would start. And we see there is a new cloud container. And when we go to our web admin, which is a local running interface to show the connected containers, we will see there is now the cloud container. I reloaded the page, and I see that one license, our sample Notepad basic module single user license, is now activated and can be used on this machine. Maybe the interesting question is, what happens if I activate this or connect the same cloud container to a second machine? Can I use the software twice? Not really. You can use it only once at the same time, because here I enter the license quantity of 1. And if the license quantity is 1, you can use it on one machine. And if you stop it on one machine, you can use it on a second machine, or a third machine, and so on. But you cannot use more than one in parallel. If you put a license quantity of 3, for instance, then you can use it on 3 computers, 3 machines at the same time, but not on 4, 5, or 6. And so the license quantity defines on how many machines, how many computers, how many devices, endpoints the license can be used at the same time. Yeah, and that's it. So you saw from the use case or from the workflow for the user, it was quite easy. I said, I create a new account, I entered a few simple data fields, and then the license and the credential file were imported automatically to my computer, and now I can use the license on my computer. So licenses are now ready to use. I guess we have also the use case of what happens if I want to use it on another computer. And Dave, how does this work?
Okay, well, if you want to use it on another computer, I suppose the first question would be, why would you want to use a license on another computer? But of course, there are quite a few quite nice scenarios you can think of. Maybe you're playing a licensed version of Doom and you're around your friend's house and you want to download Doom to be able to play it there. Or maybe it's some business software and you're at a customer site and you suddenly decide, I need a certain piece of software and you need a license for that. Or maybe you're at home, you're working from home, you've got a desktop in work, your laptop at home, and now you decide, I'm working from home today, I need a license for the software. So there's a number of reasons why you might want to do that. So to do that, you already have a cloud account, of course, because we've gone through how you create that cloud account. So using the license activation wizard, you simply enter your username and password. You can log on, and once you've logged into that, you can get your existing credential file downloaded to the computer you're using. And of course, this could be a friend's computer. You don't have to physically own the computer. You can simply use any computer and import the credential file that way. And if you have more than one credential file, you can choose which of the ones you want to authorize to use which piece of software. So it's all pretty flexible.
And so we see that the process is very easy and simple. And by the way, it's also possible to have one more radio button here, which says remove the credential file or remove the account from this computer. So that is no longer stored, because if you left your friend, then maybe you don't want him to play your Doom license without you. But let's also see this in real life. In real life, let's go to the software activation wizard and to our CodeMeter control center. And in this case, of course, the license would no longer, or the container would no longer be connected to this computer. So I will remove it here. So I will try to simulate the new computer, because it's the same computer in this case. But I just deleted the cloud container from I removed the connection, because the cloud container is in the cloud and cannot be deleted. But I removed the connection between the local machine and the cloud. So now I have already my cloud account. So I need to log in Rudi. I hope I remember the correct password. Oops, I typed it wrong. So when I say login, now we are downloading the cloud container or this credential file a second time. And voila, the cloud container is here again. And if I take a look and I refresh the page here, we see the cloud container is there and everything is fine. Yeah, we have also the use case of changing a license. And as Dave said, why does the user want to use a license from a different computer? We could ask the same question, why do you want to change a license? And there's one interesting use case. Let's say the user doesn't pay for the license and you want to withdraw the license. So at the first 2 months he paid, and then he stopped paying, and then you say, okay, then you're no longer allowed to use my license. So you can withdraw a license, or the functionality in License Center is called withdraw. With this you can remove a license. Or if you want to update a license, for instance, the maintenance period has changed, so the user has renewed the maintenance, or the user has renewed the subscription, or the user has just change something other things of the license, and then we have a replace function, which means the old license will be removed and will be replaced by a new license with new features like maybe a new maintenance period. And you can add additional features, which means in terms of CodeMeter, adding an additional product item or product code. And in this case, we use the license handle functionality assigned to a specific container. And then this feature can only be added to this dedicated CodeMeter container, or in this case, the cloud container. These changes are, of course, also available as auto update in CodeMeter License Central. And there are different activation options. And as mentioned, you can do this manually via the license portal. You can, or the software activation wizard can do this in the background. So every time when your software starts, you can call the activation wizard in a silent mode and say stealth mode and say, just check if you need to transfer licenses. By the way, these two options also work also for dongle and soft licenses. And the third way, the cloud-only way, is to use the auto-update trigger, which is running in the cloud and automatically moves licenses from License Central to cloud. Also here, a small demonstration. So let's go to License Central. And let's say we want to create a new order. I guess we have used the customer number 6000 because this is now important. It was 6000. So we create a new order for the customer number 6000. And now License Central tells us this customer already has a container. This is the ID of his cloud container, 140. This is the mask byte for the cloud container, and then 912 and so on. And we say, yes, we want to assign a new license to this container. And let's take the change font module single user license. Okay. So, and assign this to this container. Okay, and okay. So now we got a new ticket. Of course, we want to book this to the old ticket. So I go to this page here and I say I copy the old ticket, the 4J, and I say I want to rebook the license to an existing ticket to this ticket here. So, and now we have both licenses on one ticket, and one license is bound to the was activated. The other license is bound to the same cloud container. And what we have seen is that both are now on activated, and both are also now received. And so this means that they are confirmed. And so the licenses are now already in our cloud container. So typically it will refresh the local stuff for the next access of a license. That's why I do this manually. And if we go here to the web admin, we see now that both licenses, the basic module and the change font module, are now available in my container in the cloud. And if I would have the same credential file on a different computer, it would also see the two licenses which are now activated or were activated in the background. Yeah, last but not least, let's come to the license portal. So license portal is an extension of our already well-known web depot. You will see it in a couple of seconds. And this is a web depot with an user management. And for the user management, there are two options. So in our license portal, we have our own user management. So it's an out-of-the-box solution. We say, okay, the user can create its new account, and that's it, everything is fine. And it can also be connected to your existing single sign-on solution. So if you say, oh, we already have a user portal, or we have already mysoftware.com, something like this, and there is already an account, and we don't want our users to have 2, 3, 4, 5 different usernames and passwords, and we want to connect everything, then our professional services team can connect our license portal to an existing single sign-on solution. This could be an OAuth 2 solution, could be an SAML token, also could be something else. So we already connected to SAP logins or to anything other, to Active Directory. So nearly everything is possible here. And in license portal, we manage users and we assign tickets to users. and we assign the licenses, or the licenses are assigned already to the tickets. In our portal, we have either a one-level management, which is very easy. Every user is a simple user. Or we have a two-level management possible, which could be an administrator and a user. So for instance, if a big company is purchasing 100 licenses of a software, then the administrator or the administrators should be able to see which licenses are available, which licenses are already activated, where are they activated in the cloud, in a local dongle, on a CMX license. And so we have admin and users. And also very interesting use case is software for F&L. So if you have, or for universities, for educational licenses, F&L, Forschung und Lehre, the German term. So it's an educational license, and then you give a license to a university or to a school. And then the teacher, let's say, gets 20 licenses, and he should distribute the licenses to his 20 students. And then the user, the teacher, can create separate tickets and can send the separate tickets or assign the separate licenses and tickets to the students' accounts, or simply send them to the students as an anonymous activation. And so this is also a very interesting use case in the educational area. And of course, it's possible to extend our license portal, our web depot, by special features. If you have some wishes, you can ask our professional services team to extend the functionality of our web depot. But let's take a look also at web depot. I prepared also the view of web depot. So let's check just or copy the ticket ID. And here, when the user goes to web depot, he sees a small introduction, hello, and I can say, okay, I want to log in. So what we see here that 2 licenses are already activated, the base module, the change font module. And now let's simply create a third license. We create a new order, custom ID 6000, now I remember it. And we will say we'll use an existing ticket for this. It's the 4J, if I remember it right. And let's sell the hex view module for the single user. Okay, okay, and okay. So, and now switching back from the ISV to the user. The user sees that there is a third license now available. This hex view module as a single user is available. And then in the portal, I can say I want to activate this license. Yeah, and now we see that in License Central, if you remember right from the configuration of the items, of the products, we said the user can activate into a dongle, into a CMX license, a soft license, or into his cloud account. And so the user now can choose and say, where do I want to activate a license to the dongle, to the soft license, or to my cloud account? I will pick the soft license now. And in this case, the process is very similar to the process in the cloud. I don't need to have a login because I get this container automatically, and I typically use it only on one computer, so I don't need to, or there is no chance to move this same container to a different computer. And so I click on Activate Selected Licenses Now. And the first step, downloading license template, is that what is similar to the downloading of the credential file. And then the registration of the license template is the import of the credential file, then creating the license request, so the fingerprint of this machine in this case. In case of the cloud, it was the fingerprint of the user account. Then downloading the license update for especially this user account or this computer or this dongle. Then importing the license to the container, then creating a receipt and uploading this receipt. So you see the steps are similar for soft licenses and for CM Cloud containers. The only difference is that instead of a license template for one computer, it's a license template for one user, and a special one for every user. In case of the dongle, you can just start with the creating of the license request. So what we see now here is we see that all 3 licenses are activated. One is activated to the local ACT license, and 2 are activated to the container in the cloud. So, and this was the license portal. Yeah, CodeMeter Cloud will be available soon, and I hand over to Dave to tell more words about the roadmap and what we plan with CodeMeter Cloud.
Well, we've been running a pilot this year with some companies, and we've been getting a great deal of really useful feedback from them about what they would like to see in CodeMeter Cloud. And so the first release, which is due out shortly this month, will have all the functionalities that we've been we have been providing in that pilot phase. And we've been sort of talking to customers about what they would like to see in the future, and we've been adding that to the roadmap as well, and that will be coming out at some stage in the future. But for the moment, all the pilot phase functionality has been hardened. It's been very reliable. It's been exceptionally reliable, actually, and all that's going to be available in December. If any new pilots or if any new customers come along and they would like to trial CodeMeter Cloud with a pilot, then of course that's never going to be a problem. And in January, one of the things we will be releasing is the license portal, and that was one of the main pieces of feedback we had from pilot customers, that they would like to see a way of being able to store credential files and user management. And the reason for that is because the licenses are stored in the cloud in CodeMeter CodeMeter files. Forgotten the word. Containers. That's right, CodeMeter container files. And when they are downloaded to the user's machines as credential files, they are immediately deleted on our servers. So we never hold these credential files. So if you need to be able to keep those credential files to be able to download them onto a second computer, as we've seen, then you can do that via the license portal, and that was one of the main things that the customers have asked for. And of course, user management as well, so that if you have hundreds and hundreds of users, you can get an idea of who's using which licenses, be able to sort of turn licenses on and off because of it's all cloud-based, and we can use this to the sort of maximum capability of the cloud. And so in summary, there's really one thing that you need to think about, one thing I'd like to leave you with, and that's that everything is the same. So in WIBU-SYSTEMS, we have already the CM dongle, we have CM ACK licenses, and we now have these CM cloud containers, but they all access the same WIBU technology, the standard WIBU technology. So if you start using CM Cloud, you'll be instantly at home because it looks pretty much the same as the rest of the WIBU technology. It's just that instead of having a license locally or on a server, you now have it in the cloud. So yeah, with CodeMeter License Central, I'm also responsible for CodeMeter License Central, and it's exactly the same process. So if you use CodeMeter License Central at the moment to create licenses for dongles or CM-ACK licenses, you use exactly the same process as Rudiger showed you to create those licenses in the cloud. Yep, and so it's fully integrated. Everything looks the same. Everything interacts with everything else from WIBU-SYSTEMS. You can use the standard tools that you already know, Software Activation Wizard, the Web Depot, Auto Update. It all works in exactly the same way. So I'll hand over to Rudiger to finish up.
Yes, in the meantime, there are a few questions in our chat, and so let's go through the questions. Maybe I can answer a few of them, and otherwise I will hand over to Dave. Can I host CodeMeter Cloud myself? Currently, CodeMeter Cloud is available as a software as a service from WIBU-SYSTEMS, so we think about that's also available in the future, but currently CodeMeter Cloud is hosted by us, and you need to use our servers. The second question is, can I use AX Protector with CodeMeter Cloud? The answer is yes, of course. So every tool which is available from WIBU-SYSTEMS, like AX Protector, AXProtector.net, AX Protector Java, EX Protector, IX Protector are of course available for CodeMeter Cloud. So every functionality that you have with the tools are available with a few exceptions, and the only exception is that you cannot use code moving, which means moving code to dongle and executing the code in the dongle. This is currently a dongle-only feature, so it's not available for CM Act licenses. It's not available for CM Cloud containers, but maybe this could come in the future. So currently, I think it's not on the concrete roadmap, but it's on the wish list, and so I guess Dave will put this on the feature list in the future. Can I use it for mobile applications? CodeMeter Cloud currently requires a CodeMeter runtime, and so if you have a CodeMeter runtime on this operating system, then it can be used for any application. But if you have an iOS or an Android where no CodeMeter runtime is available, so in this case, the better usage is of CodeMeter Cloud Lite. And CodeMeter Cloud Lite has a SOAP-based interface and has a REST-based interface, and so it's possible from nearly every programming language to integrate some license checks. Cloud Lite does not include the same functionality, and this is just a subset, so it has mainly the licensing functions and less the security functions. But if you want to have licensing on a mobile application or even on a software as a service application, then CodeMeter Cloud Lite is the better choice at the current time. Let's see. Can I join a pilot? Dave, what to do if I want to join the pilot phase?
Yeah, so if you want to join the pilot, just send me an email or send an email to Rudiger, and we'll get you set up. We'll send you the relevant hardware that you need, and we will set up accounts and certificates on our cloud server, and you'll be up and running pretty quickly. So yes, if you want to join a pilot, no problem.
Can I use a cloud license offline? Currently, for CodeMeter Cloud, you need to be online to use it. And the idea is to offer the license borrowing feature in the future so that you can borrow a license to the local machine and then use the license on the local machine offline. So we already have an idea how to implement this in the future, but currently the CodeMeter Cloud is a solution for being online. And the last question that I saw in the chat is, how much does it cost? This is a very good question, and this depends on how you are using CodeMeter within your software. So are you using AX Protector? Are you using our core API? How many applications are running at the same time? Are they divided into different libraries, DLLs, and executables? And are all of them protected or only part of them protected? And so we have designed different packages, which includes an amount of users or cloud containers. We have this also include amount of different API calls, so of the crypt API call mainly, because this is the major call, which takes a lot of the performance. And then there is a monthly price for the different packages, but the price, of course, is really depending on the usage of CodeMeter. So the performance is depending on the usage of CodeMeter. So how many users in parallel are your users already using the software the whole day? 5 times 8, or is it a software which is used on the server 7 times 24? Are the users distributed all over the world so that they are coming one after the other and something like this? And so this needs definitely an individual offer which we need to discuss with you and your guest user behavior. I see there are no more questions in the chat window, so thank you very much for your time. I wish you a nice evening, a nice morning, a nice day, and say bye-bye, and hope to see you here again with our next webinar.
Yes, thanks. Thanks all for listening, and yeah, we'll chat to you again. Thank you.